is this a special treatment for unions who have supported the president, but more broadly, how are you going to fund the law if you continue to issue exemptions for some people?
Yeah, I don't have anything on that. I haven't seen that article.
If you let the unions out now and give them special favor after they've pushed this on America and on everybody else, then what you're doing is you're basically pushing these costs on the remaining people, and the unions are as high as 20%, as I understand it, between 10 and 20% of all the people who will have to pay this according to the law, unless they get a reprieve or a waiver by this administration.
Well, this is a story about the unions and a possible exemption they may get. This is a rule that was posted in the Federal Register by HHS last Wednesday, and it reads this, quote, "We also intend to propose in future rulemaking to exempt certain self-insured, self-administered plans from the requirement to make reinsurance contributions for the 2015 and 2016 benefit years." Now, it may sound like gibberish to you, but a number of unions fall under that, and they could get an exemption here. We're back with the panel. Jason, what about?
Well, the key there is self-insured and self-administered. And to be fair, it's not only unions pushing for this, but big businesses. And Wall Street Journal had a piece on this today, and it said that this isn't really good enough for a lot of the businesses and unions because many of them outsource the administration of their health plan, so they wouldn't qualify for the exemption. But I think the bigger point here are the optics of what's going on again. Just like they bend over backwards with to accommodate business and unions on things like the employer mandate, but they don't do so for the individual mandate. It again sends the signal that if you have the lobbyist, if you have the money, the administration is willing to cut deals for you. But if you're Joe Schmo who just lost his plan, tough.
Tweet the panel. New Jersey Tea Party Coalition tweets this: if Obamacare is really a federal tax, how can the administration exempt groups from a tax? Of course, it was called a tax by the U.S. Supreme Court. One?
Right, it was called a tax by the court, but I think what you're seeing is here, they're making changes on the fly that they see as, you know, having to problems that they see as unintended consequences, that they didn't fully see these things. And that's all is happening here. They're trying to fix something even as it's going forward. And to come back to something Jason said earlier, I think they're oftentimes doing it in an atmosphere in which they feel they can't be direct. They can't just stand and say, hey, we've got a problem, because there's so many critics out there.
But whose fault is that? They ran through a bill with no Republican support.
And whose
now
fault
they're
is
out there
that?
alone.
No Republicans were willing to work with them.
But to the point of this, I mean, it's a potential constitutional question if they exempt certain groups based on a tax.
Obama has already been unilaterally changing the law on his own, unconstitutionally, lawlessly. And I'm simply surprised that the Congress hasn't protested. Even Democrats will rue the day that they allowed a president to go ahead and to step on their, you know, the role of Congress is to pass laws. And the executive is supposed to execute them. If you allow the president, the executive, to change the law, you've emasculated the Congress. And Democrats ought to remember that, because one day there's going to be a Republican in the White House and they're going to object. So, and that's in general, but specifically here, this isn't unintended or unforeseen. When you give control of 1/6 of the economy to the federal government, you're going to end up with the cronyism and the favors that we've seen historically in all elements, in all societies where you have essentially socialist control. You have central control, you're going to have the kind of corruption and patronage that you have here. This is simply one small example, and there's going to be a lot more to come.
All right, down the road, really quick, did the unions get a break?
On this, probably, because the Democrats are going to give them, the Democrats want to appease constituencies.
I think it's a break, as Jason said, for business and unions.
Not much of one, because the administration needs the money that comes in through this fee.
That's it for the panel. Let's take from about a certain topic that we've been talking a little bit about.